It is always days I am running around doing errands that a giant amount of movie news drops. So let's get into it. Some of the things we'll be discussing here today, guys, is we got a spin-off to the M3GAN universe. We got an update on Shrek 5, finally, along with a new movie added into the Shrek universe. And the Superman set photos just continue to pour in, giving us a much better look at David Cornsweet as Superman. And I really can't wait to dive into these photos. Oh, we're going to be talking about that along with so much more. So you guys know the drill. Leave your opinions down below. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Please hit subscribe. Without further ado, let's just dive into all this juicy movie news. So today, we got the first trailer for Nosferatu. This is the Robert Eggers movie that I've been highly anticipating. If you know Robert Eggers' work, he just completely immerses you into a really weird, twisted, but kind of gorgeous story. My favorite movie of his has to be The Northman, and with this first look at the trailer, I'm sold. It's got a really stacked cast of people like Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult. The imagery in here is really captivating. It's set to be released this December. There's been a few people who have gotten to see the movie already, and they have nothing but great things to say about it. Sometimes I feel like we're in an era where vampire movies are overrated. When you hit the classics like Nosferatu with a director like Robert Eggers, oh, I think it's going to be a great time. Very excited for this movie. What'd y'all think about the trailer? Something else I wanted to dive into here that I thought was maybe kind of interesting. We got our first look at Freaky Friday 2 beginning production. That's right. After years of talking about it, they are finally doing it. And we have a photo here with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan jokingly sitting on each other's trailer because, of course, the plot of Freaky Friday is to switch places. Look, if you're anywhere near my age range, you probably grew up with Freaky Friday, and that movie is just kind of like a guilty pleasure for you. I remember having fond memories of the film, and I think it's kind of funny. All these years later, we're getting a theatrically released sequel, and that's something that's just going to end up straight on Disney Plus, which is what I totally thought Disney was going to do. We also got a bunch of fresh faces and returning cast members from the last movie. The article did provide us with a brief synopsis from what we can expect, with it saying here, boasting a multi-generational twist, Freaky Friday 2 picks up years after mother and daughter Tess endured a body-swapping identity crisis and now has a daughter of her own and a soon-to-be stepdaughter as they navigate the Mirage challenge that comes with two families merging. Tess and Anne discover that lightning might indeed strike twice. You know, it's been kind of hit and miss sometimes with these long-awaited sequels. Disney right now I don't think has the best track record of these kind of films returning. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of the newest Hocus Pocus movie. They also did a Home Alone movie I thought was terrible. The long-awaited sequel to Enchanted was pretty disappointing, so I don't know if this really is going to be all that great. But as the kid in me who enjoyed watching Freaky Friday every other time it was on TV, I'm hoping it's good. Are you guys excited at all for the sequel to Freaky Friday? Moving on here, something that shocked me last week that I can't believe got announced is this spin-off movie in the M3GAN universe. We have Variety here saying, M3GAN universe expands with erotic thriller Soul Mate, dated for 2026. It'll be January 2nd, 2026 to be exact. This is another killer robot movie, much like M3GAN was, but it's supposed to be a little bit more mature. The plot of the movie centers on soulmates, centers on a man who acquires an artificially intelligent android to cope with the loss of his recently deceased wife. The film synopsis explains, in an attempt to create a truly sentient partner, he inadvertently turns a harmless love bot into a deadly soulmate. The film is described as being in the tradition of a 90s domestic thriller, but with a modern technological twist. Basically, it's M3GAN, but you could actually get away with banging M3GAN, all right? That's what it is. I think this is so strange that they decided to create a spin-off in the M3GAN universe. Am I all up for it? Heck yeah. Although I feel like I've heard this plot a few times in different manners. It's slightly similar to Ex Machina for me. I thought that was great. It also reminds me of an episode in Black Mirror starring Haley Atwell that is like almost identical to this plot. But this story is also by James Wan. He's not directing it though. And you know, the first M3GAN movie also had James Wan there. I'm going to be completely honest with you and say I feel like this is a situation where they had an idea for a movie. They got it greenlit. They got it shooting. And then they're like, you know, this feels very similar to M3GAN. Can we just say it's in the M3GAN universe and have a cinematic thing going on? Why not? Let's just do it. That's exactly what I'm getting here. This was never a movie that was meant to be part of the M3GAN universe, but when it got all said and done, they're like, we can just say it's connected to M3GAN and we just bump ourselves $10 million right there in revenue. Hopefully this time around, this one will be rated R. It has to be, right, if it's that kind of robot. That's the only thing I was kind of disappointed with M3GAN, is that it was going to be a rated R movie, but when the TikTok kids started making it go viral, they censored it down to a PG-13. This one, I hope it's R-rated, and will this eventually lead to a crossover where M3GAN has to fight the erotic robot? Who knows, man? But yeah, we're getting spin-offs in the M3GAN universe. Is that a thing you're excited about? Moving on here, before we get into talking about some of these new Superman set photos, something huge that dropped that a lot of us have been waiting for and is like, dang, man, when you gonna give us an update? We got ourselves Eddie Murphy doing interviews for his Netflix movie coming up, Beverly Hills Cop 4, where he finally just drops the tea on what's happening in the Shrek universe, along with a brand spanking new movie. So although it's been like 4 years since they announced Shrek 5, Eddie Murphy has now confirmed he's already recorded his lines for the first act of Shrek 5, with him thinking the movie is going to be released sometime in 2025. Finally, some sort of concrete release date, but the biggest dropper was he also let it drop. Once Shrek 5 is finished, they're gonna move on to a solo donkey movie.
Are you recording both right now?
No, not at the same time. I started recording Shrek. I think it's coming out in 2025, and we're doing a donkey one next.
What the heck, man? That's actually kind of insane. So, starting off, finally, they are actually recording Shrek 5 right now. Somewhere at DreamWorks, they have the pre-animation done. They got the story finished to the point that they're recording voice actor lines. Awesome. He's saying that he's going to be recording lines until the end of the year, and that's why he thinks it'll be released next year, but honestly, it could be 2026. Still, though, the fact that they're recording lines means they're pretty close to finishing up. So that's awesome, and I can't wait to see that movie. Big Shrek fan. It's like, yes, we need Shrek 5 in our lives, and if it's as good as what Puss in Boots 2 was, oh, we are going to get something amazing. But now, over here talking about this solo donkey movie, maybe at one point I would have said, what are you doing? You're milking the Shrek IP. We don't need that. Just give us Shrek 5. But dude, I've always been a doubter of the Puss in Boots movie, whether it was the first one or the second one. When they were coming out, I was always like, who cares about these? Who wants them? I'd watch the movie and I'd be thoroughly entertained. And with the second movie, I came out going, holy, that movie is just as good as Shrek 2. And Shrek 2 is peak, y'all. I was flabbergasted with how amazing Puss in Boots 2 was. So if you could at all even do that with a solo donkey movie, give it to us, man. I want to know more about that twisted lifestyle he's got with that dragon and them weird kids. I need me that solo donkey movie, and you know Eddie Murphy's funny. So I'm actually all up down for this, and I can't wait till we get more concrete details. I'm sure Eddie Murphy's gonna get a call right now from DreamWorks going, buddy, you weren't supposed to say any of that. And Eddie Murphy's like, yeah, well, I did. That's my best Eddie Murphy impression. But I throw it off to you guys. You see these updates with Shrek 5. Does it make you happy? All right, now finally moving on to these newer set photos released for Superman. So over the weekend, I did do a video on some of the early set photos that were being released of the Superman set. And it was just kind of looking at Metropolis, some of the destruction, you know, things going on. I was like, oh, this is exciting. We've got newspaper clippings of what like something Superman has been doing. But no, today, James Gunn and David Cornsweet were actually on the set in Cleveland, which is now Metropolis, and it gave us a better look of that suit. And I'm telling you right now, you can go back and watch my initial reaction to the first look photo for David Cornsweet, and I was iffy. I was like, I like some things. I'm not on board with some stuff. I feel like they could have done a better job. One set photo has now entirely changed my mind on this Superman suit. This thing looks gorgeous. Now, there's still some flaws here I'm going to definitely want to talk about, but oh my God, guys, this suit looks amazing. How does a set photo that's taken from, I want to say an amateur filmmaker far away with not proper lighting, look million times better than what the first look photo is? James Gunn, I trust you. I know you're going to give us a great movie. I still think that was a terrible first look photo and you set expectations in the wrong way. Because these photos are now reversing all the damage that first look photo did. I am loving the vibrancy, the colors in here. It is so bright and beautiful. That's the kind of Superman suit I needed. The choice of red and blue here, oh, it looks great. And those trunks, oh my God, those trunks. You know me, I was #1 wanting those Superman trunks, and now to actually see them on him, it looks so beautiful. Even the S on the back of the cape, these are some iconic Superman poses, and the boy is just standing there. I really cannot stress enough how much these photos have reversed the little iffiness I was feeling with this costume, because now, man, it just looks great to me. Now, if I do want to be critical on some things, I do still think they chose the wrong material for this suit. Whatever they chose is still making him look slightly baggy in some scenes. Like even him just kind of standing there or leaning to the side, you just see a lot of like open space in the suit. And David Corn Sweat got jacked for this role. You need to give him a suit that is going to hug his body in the way that shows off his muscles and that this man is Superman. So I still think they did kind of wrong with the material of this suit because it's baggy in some areas. But overall, man, some of these shots, I'm like, dude, that is freaking Superman. Now, the other photos we got to look at that I don't even know what to say. We have Mr. Terrific on set, who is being played by Edie Gathegi. And look, I've never been crazy about the Mr. Terrific look. In the comics, don't get me wrong, it does look cool, but also he's not a character I read about. So please, if you're also a big Mr. Terrific fan, leave me suggestions on where to start reading up on him, because I do like the details I've heard about him. He's supposed to be like the third smartest person in the DC universe. He creates these orbs, these T-spheres, and he's got a lot of advanced technology, and he sounds cool, so I do definitely want to read up on him before I watch Superman. But as someone who's just not that familiar and not used to him, this live action suit is gonna take some getting used to, especially with that mask. I'm sure once everything is said and done and maybe they got some CGI on there, it'll look so much better. But right now, you gotta admit, this is a comic faithful suit to what happens in the comics. And even just seeing them stand side by side is pretty amazing. This is the only part that makes me iffy about the Superman movie, is just the inclusion of these like random lesser known heroes. I still want the movie to feel like a Superman centered story and not something that's gonna deter general audiences because they look at a guy with a black T on his face and go, who's that guy and what show or movie do I need to watch to be caught up? Because that's just kind of the world we live in, right? I'm hoping it's just a one and done, nice deliverable movie that revolves around Superman. But man, I gotta say, I'm loving these photos and I just can't wait, guys. I'm so glad these came out because now I feel a million times better about this suit. I know there's still some people who don't like it and hate it, but it's won me over now. This is now where I throw it off to you guys. You see a closer look at David Corn Sweat's Superman suit. Do these set photos change your mind from the first look? What do you think of Mr. Terrific's look? Are you excited for this movie? Would love to hear it all down below. But anyways, guys, that is all the movie news I currently have going on right now. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.